What's up, fight fans? This is Hrgovic with Counterpunched Boxing News, and I have some new news finally concerning Joyce, Filip, Hrgovic. This is the official fight prediction, keys of victory, and a partridge in a pear tree. So, as I break down these guys' strengths, weaknesses, keys of victory, we have to do the legendary tale of the tape. That is correct. Joyce versus Filip Hrgovic. Joyce, age 39. Filip Hrgovic, 32. 7 years difference. Born London, England for Joyce. Zagreb, Croatia for Filip Hrgovic. The nicknames, the Juggernaut versus El Animal for Filip Hrgovic. 6'6" for Joyce, 6'6" for Filip Hrgovic. Reach 80 inches for Joyce, 82 for Filip Hrgovic. Both orthodox fighters. Last weight 281.2 for Joyce when he fought Derek Chisora, and 247 pounds for Filip Hrgovic when he took on Dynamite Dubois. Trainer Steve Broughton. Ronnie Shields is the trainer for Filip Hrgovic. Record 16-3-15 for Joyce, which is Filip Hrgovic's record of 17-1 with 14 KOs. Both have a high knockout percentage, 93.75 for Joyce and 82.35 for Filip Hrgovic. And let me counterpunch. First of all, keys of victory for Joyce. Stay busy. Pressure Filip Hrgovic, because one thing we learned about Filip, if Filip is not in good shape, he can be bothered by, because one thing that Daniel didn't do, for one, he didn't quit, but for two, he didn't stop with his onslaught. Okay, he did not stop. He kept on in the grill of Filip Hrgovic. He kept applying pressure to Filip, just like he did with Jarrell Miller. And Filip did not take that well. And one thing we know about Joyce, if his chin can hold up, he can keep that pressure on. I think he still has that gas tank. So regardless of that, the keys of victory is to keep busy. And I don't think it's speed at all. It's going to be volume, consistency, pressure. Those are the attributes that Joyce has, because I don't think he has anything else, honestly. Because the chin is questionable. Derek Chisora knocked you down. Zhilei Zhang knocked you out. So, I think that chin has been tested, and the only question is, can El Animal, Filip Hrgovic, bang like Zhang or Derek Chisora? Pause. Right? But I think at the end of the day, Filip Hrgovic, or Joyce, that's his keys of victory. Filip, just be fast, just be useful, youthful as he is. I think he should approach fighting Joyce like he fought Zhilei Zhang. Stay back from him, be wary of onslaughts, box more, and get the points. I think this fight, I don't even know if it will be a knockout unless Joyce gets knocked out. I don't know if Joyce can pressure Filip Hrgovic to stop Filip Hrgovic, to be fair, because he's not a Daniel Dubois. He doesn't punch like Dubois unless he can cut Filip Hrgovic. See, one thing we learned about Hrgovic, his skin is not all that thick. Okay, he got cut, and he got cut bad. Now, I do question Filip Hrgovic's team not trying to appeal the decision or the stoppage, but it just shows you how tired he was, and that was one of the reasons why he lost, because he got tired. And the headbutt, those were, I don't know, they looked kind of Evander Holyfield-ish, honestly. So he looked like he was, aiming for that head with his head, and then take these two-piece combinations with it with no sides, right? So, but nonetheless, Filip Hrgovic, though, doesn't have the thickest skin so he can be cut. And if that happens, then Joe Joyce could work on that cut. Okay. Make no mistake about it. I think this will be a high intensity fight because both fighters know what's on the line for them. You know, if Joe Joyce is tough enough to stay, he will have to take out El Animal Hrgovic. If Hrgovic wants to come back and show people that he is on that level that he said he is, he's going to have to take out Joe Joyce. He's going to have to take out Joe Joyce. And he's going to have to do it like a guy did that he once defeated in a fight that was controversial, Zhilei Zhang. You know what I'm saying? Because Zhilei Zhang was defeated and he took his first L from Filip Hrgovic. Okay, so, you know, that being said, I think that in hindsight, you're looking at a fight that two fighters that had their struggles, two fighters that have been in a couple tough fights, you know, for Filip Hrgovic, you know, the Dubois fight and the Zhang fight. For Joe Joyce, the two Zhang fights and the Chisora fight. But, you know, and a lot of other fights, really, the Joseph Parker fight, a lot of fights. A lot of fights Joe Joyce was in, but it's the way he gets hit. It's the way he could take punches at the time. And so we will see if Joe Joyce can take shots like that versus how well in shape is Filip Hrgovic. You know, so I think, you know, all of these guys are dealing with things that we will see if they were able to overcome and improve. Okay, so I give it to Filip Hrgovic. I think Filip Hrgovic either stops Joe Joyce, you know, or Joe Joyce can outwork Filip Hrgovic. That's if Filip's not in good shape, you know. But, you know, you would naturally go with the younger guy. You know, 32 years of age. He will be 33, I think, in June. So he's a young guy, you know, and where Joe Joyce will be 40 years old soon. You know, he's in the same age bracket as Zhilei Zhang, Derek Chisora, you know, those guys to name a few. Kubrat Pulev. He's in that circle of fighters that if they're still fighting, they shouldn't have been, but, you know, they still are. So they're too legit to quit, right? So that's what I think in that in this prediction. I would go with Filip Hrgovic. You know, if Joe Joyce beats Hrgovic, this is the sport that I love, that I hate so much. It's unpredictable, and that's what actually makes it fair. But you guys tell me what you think of this breakdown between Joe Joyce and Filip Hrgovic. The Juggernaut will take on El Animal tomorrow. I will be live for that. You guys tell me about this breakdown, fight prediction, and keys of victory. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunched.